Good morning, everybody. It's 9:01 on my computer, Tuesday morning. Good morning. Welcome to our February Police Services Board meeting. We have Nancy as the recording secretary, taking attendance already. We have a number of folks joining us as well from different places for different parts of the agenda. So welcome Inspector Varga. And we may have I just know her first name because it's a great first name. It's Jennifer, and I can't remember her last name now. Staff Sergeant that is currently part of our detachment command. She wasn't able to join us at the beginning of the meeting, but she will hope to join us at some point in the meetings process. Inspector Ferguson, maybe you can correct me because obviously I've had a brain freeze.
Jennifer Ormsby.
Jen Ormsby.
Yeah. Thank you. See, I can remember the first name quite easily. It was the last name that was escaping me. And then, of course, we have Acting Staff Sergeant Gutenberg here as well from Brant. So let's get started on our agenda. Nancy's on our attendance. Do I have anything else to add? Well, we have the agenda in front of us. We have the addendum that Nancy sent out. So at this time, we'll take a motion to approve the agenda. Oh, sorry, Councillor Pierce, did you have anything you wanted to add?
I do, Madam Chair, just a quick item under other business, if I could, thank you.
Not in camera, just regular.
Yep, just regular, yep. It's all good.
Okay.
It's a good news story.
That's great. Okay, any other items to add? Sorry about that. Okay, seeing none with the added agenda item, is there a motion to approve the agenda as proposed? Councillor Pierce, seconded by Member Verhey. All those in favor? That's carried. Thank you. Any declaration of pecuniary interests? Please do so at this time. Seeing none. Thank you. We do not have any delegations, petitions, or presentations at this time, so we'll go right into the adoption of our last meeting's minutes on January 18th. Nancy included those in the package. Anybody want to move the adoption of those minutes? Mayor Bailey, thank you. Seconded by Member Brown. Any discussion? All those in favor? Okay, that's carried. Thank you. Any business arising from those minutes that you'd like to discuss now? Okay, seeing none. We'll carry right into the detachment commander's report, item number 7. Not sure. I believe Acting Staff Sergeant Gutenberg is going to be helping to deliver the report today as part of his learning and training opportunities. So we welcome Ben you to the table to present the report to us today.
Good morning, Madam Chair. Good morning, everybody. Hope everyone had a great weekend. And it looks like it's going to be a nice day today. And again, I want to thank Inspector Ferguson for her efforts up in the Windsor area, keeping our borders going. I can tell you that we definitely have seen a reduction in the amount of traffic that we've had through this area, so it's nice to see things moving smoothly. I'll start right off into the report, and please feel free to tell me to slow down if I am talking too fast. Can everybody hear me okay? Everybody hear me okay?
Yes, I think so.
Okay, good, thanks. We'll start with the staffing. As you know, we've welcomed 3 new recruits who just graduated on the 4th of February. That would be Constable Nowak, Constable Lowe, and Constable Reeves. And something new this session, what we did was conducted an orientation session on the 7th of February. And thankfully, Madam Chair was present to provide us a presentation on behalf of Brant County and the Police Services Board. That orientation session was taken very well, and I hopefully plan to incorporate that to all sessions in the near future. For this report, we've had 0 complaints, both internal and through the public. Moving on to page 10, we'll talk about our community mobilization officer. They attended 9 crisis calls during the month of January, 25 of which were involved, or I should say involved coast referrals for some mental health follow-up. PC Murphy continues to work and do follow-ups in our community, and she works with PC Vitalis, our community media officer, They were working on our latest community safety and policing grant, which they've provided in submissions for some enhancements regarding some equipment and some other services. And hopefully in the future, we'll hear if they were successful in obtaining that. Excuse me for one moment. As I stated earlier, my computer likes to do updates suddenly, and it did another one just now, which I had to cancel. Moving on to page 11, we'll talk about our school and youth resource officer. She's been fairly active, even though the schools were closed for a short period of time due to the pandemic. She's currently conducting the OPP Kids program in 2 of our schools, which has been received positively for their community. She's conducted lockdown drills, had some talks about the Cannabis Control Act, and participated in the Bell Let's Talk Day. Events that she's been involved with are shown under the charts showing criminal code calls and provincial offenses calls, and the appropriate charges and warnings are listed there. Moving on to page 12, which talks about our community services and media officer. He's been very prolific in regards to broadcasting our events and ensuring that everyone's reached through social media. You'll see under his notable events, the number of impressions that he's done on social media. And I can tell you from experience that that's one of the highest ones that I've seen in a long time. So he's definitely reaching a lot of people through his efforts on Twitter, Instagram, and all the various platforms that he uses. If we have no questions, I'll move on to page 13, which talks about our community engagement, specifically the focus patrols. The month of January was the final month for the focus patrols as listed on Grand River, Colborne, Highway 24, and Rest Acres Road. So the first non-highlighted column talks about the enforcement efforts for the month, and then the highlighted column below it is a 3-month total for those areas. It's not a shock to me to see that we're slightly lower for our month totals because of the amount of severe weather we had during that period. And of course, that severe weather would impact the proactive enforcement that we would be taking. I can tell you that the focus patrols have changed for the month of February. We have 4 new ones that have started, and of course, I'll be reporting on those as we go. Our traffic enforcement or traffic management unit, I should say, has also continued to be very active through the month of January, contributing 216 provincial offense notices and laying 2 additional summonses under different provincial statutes. Moving into detachment activities, let's talk a little bit about the Crime Stoppers, and I want to provide one clarification near the end of that. The Crime Stoppers report talks about January and 2022 year to date. You're going to have lots of reference over my report regarding year to dates. The figures that we're going to talk about will be a little bit lower just because January being the first month, we're going to have no figures to compare it to for the year. So please just take that into account as I go through the rest of the report and I talk about year to dates. You'll see that since inception of 1998, over 26,000 tips and over $13 million of property recovered. I can tell you that when we talked in one of our previous reports about a large drug seizure that was multiple millions of dollars, I can tell you that we did receive some clarification, and that was an anomaly as a result of a formula error in the chart that they used. And in fact, it wasn't that kind of seizure for that month. It was an overall figure. And I'll try to get you some clarification on that in the future. The noteworthy events, I've condensed them slightly. The ones of interest are highlighted. And as you can see, we still were quite active with some very unique events throughout the month of January. If I have no further questions, I'll continue on and I'll go into page 16 with trends and actions. As I go through the report, you're going to see that speeding charges are up 48.9%, almost 50% compared to 2020, which is a significant increase. And I'm glad that our traffic management unit was able to play a significant part in getting those numbers increased for us. Violent crime is down 12.5%, again, compared to January of 21. Property crime is down, and drugs are similar for 2021 as well. We had no loss of life motor vehicle collisions, which is a good thing, and we had a decrease of 20% of injury motor vehicle collisions. Unfortunately, motor vehicle collisions are up, but only by a slight amount of 1.5%. Vehicle-related property crime continues to trend upwards with an increase in stolen vehicles. But when you compare everything, we have an increase of 26.7%. Again, just a reminder, it's difficult to do comparison with trends because we are in the first month of the new year. Mental health calls are slightly up. 911 calls are down significantly, and that's primarily as a result of new procedures put in place by our communication center, which helps alleviate dispatching some of our members to these calls when follow-up can be done locally from our dispatch center. Alarm calls went up slightly, or not slightly, they went up to over 25%. Domestics decreased, and overall patrol hours have increased from 793 from last year to 891.5 for this year. Foot patrol is up to 78 hours compared to 69.25 from 2021. Just scrolling into the statistics report now. Cruiser hours for patrol are 891.5. Our foot patrol hours are 78, and our school patrol hours are 25.5. So when you compare them to January of 2021, which is the chart below, you will see increases in all three columns. The next chart on page 19 details our billing summary report. And on page 20, we talk about our motor vehicle collisions by types. As I already spoke about our fatal motor vehicle collisions, we have none for 2022, so that's a decrease of 100%. We've only had 8 compared to 10 from last year, so that's a 20% decrease. A slight increase in our property damage accidents, so overall a change of 1.5% for year to date. I will bypass the fatalities and detachment areas because we didn't have any for the month of January. And same with the second chart. Moving on to the next page, which talks about our integrated core defense network and our criminal code and provincial stat charges. Please remember, as we review this page, we are 2 months behind, and that's based on the ICON system. We're unable to get stats any earlier than the 2-month window. So when you look at the comparison from November of 20 to 21, you will see there's some increases, 150% for Highway Traffic Act. Criminal code non-traffic is down by almost 70%. Liquor license charges, they remain the same. And there is an increase in other violations, and that could be a multitude of things. It's very difficult to say what those charges actually were. When you talk about traffic-related charges, which is in the column below, our speeding again is up 216%. Seatbelt, there was a difference of 1 charge, which makes it 33% less. We doubled our impaired number of charges, and our distracted driving charges were down by 1. The next page details our foot patrol hours, comparing January of 2021 to January 2022. Overall, our foot patrol hours are up 12.6%, which is great to see. On the following page, we talk about property crimes that are detailed. Again, the comparisons are now over a 3-year period. You see a 44% change for January of 2022. We recovered an additional motor vehicle in the same month, and we had 1 less report of a theft from the motor vehicle. So overall, our change for vehicle-related property crimes is increased by 26.7%. On the following page, we talk about other statistics, which talks about mental health calls, 911 calls, etc. And in most of the columns, you will see we've had a decrease. The one of note would be the alarm calls, which have gone up 27.8%. And Madam Chair, I believe that concludes my reports.
Great job. Very good overview. And at this time, let's have some discussion on any questions or clarifications that anybody would like to raise. Maybe I'll, Councillor Pierce, go ahead. Nope.
I was waiting for everybody else, but just
I was too. So go ahead.
Okay, a couple quick ones. Yes, thank you for the report. On page, what do we have here? I guess it's page 23 of our report, when it talks about foot patrol hours and stuff like that, that we are up. That's great. Two things. Number one, in the west region, or the west quarter, I guess, it's up like dramatically, 250%. I'm curious, is there a reason for that? Was there kind of like something happening in the area that we had extra foot patrol or something like that? Because trust me, I'm not complaining, but I'm curious as to why that huge jump, if we know.
Through you, Madam Chair, I really can't provide you a firm answer or reason as to why that's occurred. My belief would be that the officers proactively targeted the west area, feeling that there was a need to have some increased foot patrol, whether it be for the amount of vehicle entries we were having at the time, or if there was for another reason. I have no true explanation to provide you regarding that increase.
Okay, that's fine. And just kind of a part B to that one there. When it's broken down into the, the Northwest, Paris East, that kind of stuff, there was a map that we were shown, it's got to be a year or so ago, that actually, it kind of showed which is, what's in the North and what's in the West. I'm wondering if we could have that map re-added to our agenda, just so when folks are watching at home and stuff like that, they can kind of associate, where are they talking about the North and that type of thing, in the East and the West. Because I know there was something, it was a year or so ago that we were shown that map, and I'm just wondering if we could get that added for clarification. That would be great.
Just
through
to
you,
confirm,
Madam Chair.
Yes, go ahead.
I'm sorry, through you, Madam Chair. Yes, that map is available. It does help our officers identify where they're actually coding their reports so that the proper calls are scored in the proper areas. I will do my best to get you a copy of that report, or the copy of that map.
Yeah, perfect. Like I say, it just adds clarity to people that are reading the report and stuff like that, what area that exactly entails. So that's great. And then just a quick comment, as always, thanks for what you folks do. When I see that the speeding charges are up, that's a good thing as far as our community is concerned, because that's one of the biggest things as a counselor that I hear pretty much on a daily basis are the speeding cars and the mufflers and that sort of thing. And it's great that we can actually see it on paper that we're taking action. Or I say you folks are taking action on this, and it's something that's important to all of us. So thank you for that.
Councillor Pierce, just to clarify, do you want that map included in the report ongoing, not just a one-time? You would like to see that included in the report on an ongoing basis?
I would, Madam Chair, if we could, just to have it as part of that agenda item, then it just, like I say, it just helps people associate what numbers they're talking to what areas.
Okay, just wanted to clarify that it wasn't just a one-off. You would like that included in the report. Yep.
That would be great. Thank you very much.
Member Brown?
Thank you. Through you, Madam Chair. I'm not really looking for the information right now because I don't know that it would be readily available, but consistently over the last year and a half, there seems to have been a reduction in the personal injury motor vehicle collisions. This month, we're reporting 20%. We're down again, and I think that's fantastic. I'm just wondering if there's any correlation. When I first got on the board 3 years ago, the focus patrol seemed to target areas of high accident rates or high injury accident rates. And I'm wondering if there's a correlation between those focus patrols and a reduction of accidents at those locations. If it's something that was easily attainable without much effort from the analyst, I'd be curious, because I think that's something that we can learn from and continue on into the future. but it's every month after month, we seem to see these reductions, and there's got to be a good reason for it. I'm wondering if maybe someone can maybe educate us as to what that may be, not this meeting, but in the future. It'd be much appreciated. And great job what you're doing down there, Inspector Ferguson and the OPP in Brant County. It's very much appreciated.
Thank you.
Through you, Madam Chair, I will reach out to our analysts to see if there is that correlation. I'm glad to see that figure as well. And I will strive to get you that data for the next report.
A quick question for you then, Sergeant Gutenberg, is you talked in the trends and actions, page 16. So I guess it's more of a comment, not a question. And maybe Councillor Pierce, you can help communicate this back to council as well. In the last couple of weeks, I've had a couple different conversations with different councillors, just happen to be passing by kind of thing. And the message I got was, no more warnings, keep giving the speeding tickets, keep charging people, no more warnings, that's the message. But hey, speeding charges are up almost 50% to, compared to this time compared to 2020. So I think we're here. I think our OPP staff are hearing that message. They're doing what we've been asking as a community to get out there and do what they do. I guess I just want to make sure that our counselors were aware of that information and that is being heard, and that we continue to advocate for that here at this table and other places, and that Inspector Ferguson and her team are doing what they can do as well. It's a general comment. And then I guess my next question is in that vein is, alarm calls were up in January by 27.8%. And I know we haven't got there yet, but we go to the January alarm report and it's only warnings are issued. So if we take the same vein as to what counselors are asking for, why are we not, that's a colossal waste of police resources to be going to calls and only warnings are issued for whatever reason, faulty alarms. I mean, obviously we want people to be there when their time of need and when it's important, something's bad has happened and an alarm call is put in. But I know this has been a bugaboo for my time on police service board, but if we're not going to get tough on the alarm calls and divert that time to other uses of our police services, then that's something to consider, because if they keep going up and we keep giving warnings being issued, then we're not solving the problem. And I know it's not a problem that PSB can solve, because that's the alarms, fees and all the associated fees that go with the alarms are a county issue. I just wanted to point that out. I don't know where that goes with that. And then with the stolen vehicles, certainly in my community, we're seeing the impact of stolen vehicles, and that's been quite a concern. Even this morning on social media, people are posting that people are walking around the neighborhoods at 2 o'clock in the morning, scoping out cars and looking for cars and whatnot. So I don't know, is there anything that would suggest why we're seeing that increase for vehicles versus other property? Is that the easily accessible property that can be taken? I guess why the increase in that now?
Madam Chair, as in any type of event, you do see trends when certain offenses occur at a greater time. For example, vehicle entries just prior to the Christmas season, etc. I can't put any true specifics down for you or provide you any statistics that would say why it's happening at this point. I can tell you that there are patterns in relation to vehicle types, patterns in relation to makes and models, etc. But as to why a certain area is being targeted at a certain time for a certain type of vehicle, I can't provide you that information because I honestly don't know. A lot of it has to do with the demand from the criminal element at the time. They treat it like a business and they go out to serve their customers and they target certain areas. I do know that it is not a specific event. For example, St. George is not constantly being targeted, that this is something that rotates around through not only our communities, but municipalities in the province. So I wish I could give you a better answer than that, but I can't provide you anything further.
Yeah, no, I guess I wasn't expecting too much there, but I guess I just, it seems we're talking about vehicles and stolen vehicles or breaking into vehicles a lot more recently. Maybe it's just the time, the trend, like you said, and if other communities are facing that same problem, it's obviously an ongoing trend that other communities are seeing as well.
Definitely, I would agree with you there.
Inspector Ferguson, were you going to add to that? I saw you unmute. So
yeah, through you, Madam Chair, I'm just wondering whether or not we can tap into our analysts and ask whether or not for connections to our neighboring municipalities, if she's seeing those exact trends there as well, and our neighboring OPP detachments, and see if we can report back at the next meeting whether or not there is anything that is coming across. Sometimes, as staff Gutenberg says, that they have a particular, way to get into a certain type of vehicle. They've learned a new way to do something like that, and then they target that type of vehicle for a while. So what we'll do is we'll ask her and we'll bring it back to the next meeting.
great, thank you. Councillor Pierce?
Thanks, Madam Chair. Just a quick response to your statement there earlier. Absolutely, at council, I've been reiterating the fact that, look at our speeding charges are up this much, and these charges are up that much, with these focus patrols and stuff like that. So it has been brought back to council, and that we're quite happy about that. And the thought is the same thing. Just you kind of went ahead to the alarms there, and that's one of the things I have circled as well. Now, my only thought on that is the fact that, is it if we call it the first response, that there's a warning on it? Is that the case? That's why they're all warnings. It's just the first response. Then when it gets into second, third, then the fines start. I believe that's the way it is.
Yes, my understanding is the same, Councillor Pearson. I know we've gone through this as a police service board a couple of years ago as well. I guess what my understanding though, again, is what OPP track for alarms and what the county issues for warnings might not always line up in terms of the calls and what comes through.
Yeah, agreed.
Just last question then, or not a last question, but another comment from me. Your question is, with the integrated court offenses network data showing the increases, I'm assuming you don't have more bodies processing that data, but we're seeing such an increase in obviously charges that are going through the court system. How does that impact the resources that you have available to you to deal with all that? Or like, is there access to additional resources, or like does that mean people are coming off the front line to be able to manage that? Or I guess I'm just concerned about how we've increased a lot of charges, and now we've got a system that has to go through the court system. But if we've increased it and then pulled people off the road, then that doesn't help us either.
Yeah. Madam Chair, you're absolutely right. It does play an impact regarding our operations at detachment. I can tell you that it's not affecting our frontline policing service. We are not pulling members off the road by any means, away from the patrol zones to perform any type of administrative work like that. It does impact us because we are working with two different types of prosecutors, the Ministry of the Attorney General for our criminal matters and our provincial offenses prosecutors, both from the County of Brant for our Part 1 matters and our provincial offense prosecutor for our Part 3 matters. We try to utilize members that are able to take on other tasks when they're assigned to non-frontline duties to help support our court office. However, it's not the end solution to this. We would obviously love to get additional staff to take on this matters, and we have special people. We have a special constable assigned to the courts. We have one officer that is assigned, and that's his role, but additional help would be a great benefit to this, especially in this time now that the courts are opening and the demands are increasing to this dramatic level. We've placed requests in. We're working on some different options, and Inspector Ferguson has been an integral part of that, but it takes a little bit of time. We're starting to take steps forward, but it might be half steps instead of full steps at this time.
Inspector Ferguson, did you want to add to that as well? I saw that you, yeah.
Yeah, through you, Madam Chair, I was just going to say that our POA Special Constable is dedicated to that, certainly has additional pressures that she's undergoing right now with processing exceptional number of tickets compared to last year with the traffic management unit enhancement officers, which is great for us. It's just adding that extra pressure. So we could really benefit from an additional special constable, and certainly those will be talks that hopefully you and I can have, and some conversations with Mr. Bradley as well, to see if there's any other supports that if we continue with the traffic management unit, if we could put some considerations towards additional special constable.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments for Staff Sergeant Gutenberg? Good discussion. So seeing none, thank you very much, Staff Sergeant Gutenberg. Job well done. It's always good to have the discussions and the information. Appreciate that. So 7.2 is the false alarm summary that we kind of already skipped ahead to in some regards, but the summaries in our package on page 27 shows you just for January 2022 the warnings that were issued. And if there's no further discussion on that point, we'll need a motion to accept both the county OPP Detachment Commander's report and the false alarm report. Mayor Bailey, thank you. And seconded by Member Brown. And all those in favor? And that's carried. Thank you. We have quite a few pieces of communications in our package. 8.1 is a letter from Solicitor General Jones regarding Member Brown's extension of his appointment for 6 months. And so my understanding is it's an extension versus a reappointment. So at that time, they'll decide how they want to proceed with that. And then we also have 8.2, similar letter for Member Verhey, again a 6-month extension on the appointment for both of them being provincially appointed members. Any discussion on either of those two items? Okay. 8.3 is a letter again from Solicitor General Jones regarding court security and prisoner transportation program review. And this has been referred from the Policy Development and Strategic Direction Committee. I'm not sure if there's any additional Councillor Pierce information that you wanted to provide on this.
Thanks, Madam Chair, through you. Yeah, I had asked to have this on our agenda. I just wanted to just touch on it just briefly because as in, Staff Sergeant Gutenberg just, alluded to there with the court systems and that sort of thing. I found this quite interesting in a couple of ways. The fact that, we're finally, coming into this millennium, I'll call it, with the digital and being able to do things online and stuff like that. And I'm just curious, from what I'm taking from this report anyway, is the fact that they're trying to go more to the if you want to call it, what do they call it here, the criminal justice video strategy. And so we don't have to have all these transportations back and forth to the courts and stuff like that, which I personally think is a win-win, because I know in some instances, has been stated in the past, you take somebody to the courts, they're, the whole sequence itself takes, let's say, a couple hours, and they're literally, in front of the judge for like 2 seconds. So I think this is a great memo. Couple questions I had in regards to the second part of it, when it has the information and stuff like that, because it breaks it down into municipal police forces and OPP police forces. So I want to understand, was our detachment, or did it go by West Region? I'm not sure. Were we one of the respondents to this survey? And then it talks about a series of smaller focus groups. I'm curious if we had anybody that was actually part of those focus groups, or was it at a higher level? I'm curious as to how much input we had, as a Brant County OPP, as well as a West Region OPP, or where that actually went from. I'm not sure if anybody here can answer that, but those were my questions I had on that. That's why I kind of referred it to this board.
I'm gonna see if Inspector Ferguson, I'll start with you, and then maybe you can let us know where you want to go with that.
Through you, Madam Chair, and I'm sorry, I just had a quick question there, so I missed a sentence of that. But just when it comes to appearing in person versus virtually and the new processes, during COVID times, there were exceptions that were able to be made through individuals appearing through video if there was an outbreak at a facility, etc. But to my knowledge, individuals still have the right to elect to appear in person and to meet with their lawyer in person prior to a court date. So I know that that can likely affect something through the MAG system. I'd have to look into that to verify it, but I feel that right now we're trying to transfer into the more the Justice Modernization Program and having those virtual meetings. But I'll do a little bit more research into it and see if I can get you some better answers. But I think that that's why there's a little bit of a difference right now.
Okay.
The second part of Councillor Pierce's, I think, questions were, was Brant OPP or West Region OPP part of the consultation process?
Through you, Madam Chair, yes, I can tell you that we do have our justice partners right now. Acting Inspector Jody Kays is on that committee, and she meets with our local crowns and she represents the interests of the OPP within our jurisdiction. So I will touch base with her and see if maybe she can come and speak to us at a later date if once we get some more information.
Okay. If I could follow up, Madam Chair, yeah. And that's what I was looking for is the fact of, are we involved at this at I'll call it our level at a Brant OPP level, because I'm sure that things differ as we travel around different regions and stuff like that. So I'm glad that we're able to have our input on there. And as I say, with the criminal justice video strategy, I think that's as I say, and I appreciate the fact that that a person has the right to be seen in person and stuff like that. But I think that this may be something that if they continue on this route, that would really free up a lot of time with the transportations back and forth. And as it talks in the package there, it talks about safety, right? So there's no issues of the police officer safety or the public safety if they're doing this over video. So I think that's I think they're heading in the right direction here, and it'd be interesting to see how this unfolds as we go forward. But thank you. I just wanted this board to be aware of that. I wasn't sure if everybody was aware, so I just had it brought over from policy. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Pierce. I didn't know any until we had it in our package, so I appreciate that you shared it with us. So we'll see Inspector Ferguson as she's able to move through the issue. If there's additional information, we can have somebody come in and talk to us more about that at a later date. That'd be interesting. We have the technology now, Councillor Pierce. There's no sense going backwards, right?
Here, Madam Chair.
Yeah. Okay, the next item on our list is 8.4. It looks like our Ontario Association of Police Services Board is going to be virtual once again at the end of May. It's so hard to plan these events with all the different moving targets and changes, but it looks like it'll be a virtual agenda over those 2 days. Hopefully 2023, they're back in person. So I think at this time, it's just getting everybody's awareness of the dates on your calendars. And I don't know, Nancy, do you know if there's a deadline for registration
I'm not certain about the deadline for registration. I'll look that up and get back to you.
Okay. So perhaps at our next meeting, we can discuss if anybody's interested in getting registered. You can consult your calendars and your availability. And then if anybody's interested in and I don't believe, I did check, I don't believe they have an agenda posted yet with any topics or speakers. So hopefully by then we'll have a better idea. And if you're interested, we can then decide about registration at our next meeting. 8.5 is an article from the Brantford Expositor about the city of Brantford discussing challenges with the bail system. And I believe it kind of ties in a little bit to some of our discussions in the past where we've been talking about recidivism and different things like that. And I think this is here for information, given the concerns that the city of Brantford's expressing with the court system and the bail system. Is there any discussion about this article? Or any direction or discussion? I guess Councillor Pierce, how would this isn't anything for the Police Services Board necessarily, but do we refer this over to County Council to discuss then if they choose to support City of Brantford?
I can absolutely bring that back to council, yes.
Is that something that would be the wishes of the Police Services Board to support City of Brantford Council on this issue? Or additional information required, or is there any discussion here that anybody wants to have? Councillor Pierce?
Thanks, Madam Chair. I guess my 2 cents on the fact is I find it interesting how, you know, until we started talking about, and I'm going to get the word wrong again, the revisitism, that's a tongue twister for sure. It's been in the news a lot recently, and I find it quite interesting that as we've started to talk about it, there's other places that are talking about it. So I've got no problem taking it back to council, and I'm sure that we could get support, you know, for what the direction that they're going on. It's not necessarily everything in that report, but definitely the overarching issue that many of us see more and more now.
What would be the wishes of the group here? What direction do you want to provide to Councillor Pierce? Okay, Member Brown, Member Verhey, Mayor Bailey, anybody?
I think they're asking me to be quiet, Madam Chair, and I can't do that.
Mayor Bailey?
Well, through you, Madam Chair, I think it can go back to council. I've been in touch with the city, and there has been other correspondence between the mayors and staff. So if this piece can get sent back to council, that would be fine.
Member Brown?
Through you, Madam Chair, and Inspector Ferguson and Staff Gutenberg, I know this is statistically supported, but are you seeing a difference in the release on bail between the last 6 months and maybe 6 years ago or 2 years ago? Is there a difference, or is it just more in the news right now?
Through you, Madam Chair, and Staff Gutenberg can top up on this. Last year, we did see the implementation of Bill C-75, which had a scaled approach to incarceration versus release on bail. So there were some changes last year that came forward for officers on when they could release, when they should release, and when they should not hold for bail. So that did change the landscape for us quite a bit last year. I do have a PowerPoint slide deck that explains a little bit of that. But again, it's called Bill C-75, and that is why I believe that we are seeing the changes. Not as many individuals are being held for bail. Hope that answers your question.
Thank you.
Mayor Bailey?
I think too, Madam Chair, that when you start hearing the discussions on this issue, you're going to be quite surprised and amazed how back and forth it goes. There's no real, when I talk about the expense of letting somebody out or keeping someone in, the expenses are going to sort of take you by surprise, I think. You know, no matter who's paying for what, to let someone out and stop the spending until they come back into the process is different than the bail, which is not coming from the county or the city or anyone. It's coming from someone personally. So when you start the discussion and when Councillor Pierce brings it back to council, I think it would be a good one for you to listen in on, because the discussion is very surprising on the costs surrounding the city and the county for keeping people in jail or letting them out. So it's an interesting conversation, and until you start thinking about it, actually thinking about it and saying it out loud, you'll be very surprised, I think.
Member Brown, was there anything additional that you want to add, or you're good?
I'm good,
Okay.
thank you.
Councillor Pierce, do you have what you need then?
I do, Madam Chair.
Okay, great. Okay, so then this time that concludes all of our communication pieces. We'll need a motion to accept each of those at this time. Councillor Pierce, thank you. Seconded by Member Verhey. All those in favor? Just before we keep going on the agenda, just I know we didn't stop earlier, but I just wanted to welcome Staff Sergeant Jennifer Ormsby to the meeting and to welcome her to Brant as well. So welcome to the meeting.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
So we're moving into section 9 now. So Councillor Pierce, anything additional regarding council communications or sharing of information?
No, I think not at this point, unless there's something else that the board wishes me to take back.
Okay, great. We'll see if there anything comes up. Member Verhey, anything from Zone 4 OAPSB?
Just a few things through you, Madam Chair. General information. We have a meeting coming up on March 2nd. So hopefully I'll have more to report after that. I think you all would have received a communication from our secretary that Kurt Allen is not putting himself back up for re-election on the board. So there's a vacancy there. He was quite active actually. So we'll be curious to see how that's going to unfold. There was membership dues that I think the county would have received notification on for Zone 4. And that's about it at this time. So I haven't had a meeting in a while, so it's hopefully next PSB meeting there's more to talk about in terms of Zone 4.
Great, thank you. 9.3, I'll just give a quick update. Staff Sergeant Gutenberg already mentioned about the recruit orientation. I was invited to come and do a presentation about our police services board and our relationship and how we work with OPP and our responsibilities. So I got to meet the 3 new, it was their first day. So it was neat to be able to talk to them, and they had quite a program of orientation to the detachment and to their policing career. So I just wanted to thank Staff Sergeant Gutenberg for putting that together. My understanding that's kind of the first time we've done that here in Brant with having a new recruit orientation day. So I thought that was a great idea, and thank you for including the police services board and being able to connect the dots with them and why we each do what we do. Tomorrow night it will be the Brant North Community Safety Group meeting. I'll be attending that. The Paris group hasn't been able to meet. They meet in person, they don't meet virtually. So until they're able to meet in person again, I've had some back and forth with Mrs. Stone about some concerns, and with Inspector Ferguson being deployed elsewhere. We've been talking about it, but then we haven't been able to resolve some of the concerns that Edith has. So hopefully once Inspector Ferguson's back in Brant, we'll be able to resolve some of those questions. But they really relate to just the naming of the group in terms of the words community policing versus the safety group. So she has some concerns in that regards, more operational in nature, that we can maybe resolve. And if there's anything that we need to bring back to the group here, we can do that. So when they meet in person again, I will try to get to an in-person meeting with the Paris group. Also, Inspector Ferguson has made arrangements for us to attend the April Policy Development and Strategic Direction Committee. So we'll be doing kind of an overview presentation. Well, Inspector Ferguson will be doing that. I'll be sitting in and supporting, of course. We'll be doing that to council in terms of bridging those communications and showing what's been done over the past few months and being able to take any kind of feedback or questions. So we're trying to, as you know, as a board, we've been trying to bridge that communications channel. So that'll be the first time that we're doing that in April. So we'll look forward to that. And then I had a community member here send me kind of a positive feel good thing. The snow, with all the snow that we had a photo taken of one of our Brant OPP members helping to shovel our senior snow, actually right in my neighborhood. It's kind of discouraging, some of the comments that people do make on social media questioning whether or not that was real or not. But beside the point, I personally want to extend a thank you to that member for helping the seniors shovel out their driveway. Didn't have to do that, but took that extra time just to help those two seniors out with shoveling that deluge of snow. And their neighbor caught it on a picture, and we were able to share that on social media to kind of show some of the other sides of community engagement and what our police services here in Brant are doing. So thank you to that member for his kindness. And I think I'll leave it at that for now in terms of my update, unless there's any questions. None? Okay. I don't believe there's anything additional on the 2022 priorities other than one of the things that Inspector Ferguson and I have been also discussing is that community communications piece. So with everything that's been going on in January and February here, that's unfortunately had to take a little bit of a backseat. So hopefully we'll be able to circle back to it shortly with everything that's going on. If there's nothing else on the update section, we'll move into the other business now, section 10.1. I believe this item was asked to be put on the agenda just in terms of an update on the tow truck program, how that's transitioned from our agreement that we've had with the Brant Towing Group, and if there's any updates or how that's going. That I think that's the request at this time for some information. I'm not sure who's taking that one.
Through you, Madam Chair, I believe Staff Gutenberg was just going to give us an update. He doesn't. You're good to do it. Go ahead then.
Yes, thanks, Inspector. You beat me to the unmute button there. I can tell you the program is in its infancy. It's been implemented. It's going extremely well. But as with any new procedure in place, we do have some challenges. They're very minor in nature, and thankfully, any process that requires the matter to be addressed through an appeal process, we have a very stringent appeal process that involves not only the inspector, but one of our superintendents at West Region. I'm not aware of any real concerns that we can't handle locally from within. And I know that in speaking with Sergeant Hampson, the transition from the tow group and the tow association to the system we have in place right now has been seamless. The only other thing I can state on that is, as a result of the tow program, we've actually seen an increase in the number of tow providers that we're able to have service Brant County.
Any comments or questions for Staff Sergeant Gutenberg on that update? Well, it's good news. Thank you for that update. It's good to hear that there's a good, smooth transition happening, and a lot of work being put into that in the history of towing in Brant. So hopefully that's part of the transition process. So that item 10.2 is in your package, in the addended package. Concept that Staff Sergeant Gutenberg's been working on and that he spoke to me about was this challenge coin concept. So just bring it forward for your discussion today. I'm not sure if anybody's familiar with the history and significance of challenge coins within the military and police services and first responders, but Ben is a wealth of information on that significance if you want any background. He has kind of polled some of the members of Brant and also looked at what we can do for Brant. There isn't one currently. There's various coins for various things, is my understanding, for different units, different significant things that have happened within the police services, and not just OPP, but other places as well. So cut to the chase, we have the opportunity perhaps to look at a challenge coin here for Brant. OPP cannot use its own like funds to purchase these coins. That would come to us or to the members themselves to fundraise, or in some cases, my understanding is some detachment commanders who may strike a coin of their own, maybe pay for that cost themselves. So Ben's done a little bit of research. I can show you what he's got as a mock-up design in terms of some of the ideas that he has. And I'll share my screen in a minute. The idea would be that we'd need to set up some guidelines if we choose to pursue this further. It would be a police services board coin per se, and then we can then decide what purposes that would be for. Whether that's to all new incoming people that come to Brant, for example, the 3 recruits on Monday, would they have been given one as a welcome to Brant, kind of part of the fraternity of Brant OPP? Is it to police service board members when they join or retire? Is it to dignitaries when they come to the detachment for various events? It could be a number of things that you guys develop those qualities and certifications for, but the idea is that it's a special thing that not everybody has. You don't go out and sell them to, you know, it's a rare thing that people would have. And it's my understanding from talking to Staff Sergeant Gutenberg is it's quite a morale booster amongst the members in terms of being able to have different challenge coins or being awarded them because they're not just given out all the time. So before I share my screen with your design, Ben, is there anything additional you would like to add to that?
Yes, through you, Madam Chair. Yes, the coin is unique for Brant County. It was designed by Brant County members with their input. I just started the process and got them thinking of some ideas, and the final design, which you're about to show, is truly the input from Brant County members, what they felt symbolized Brant County and what the county means to them. And it shows their pride, it shows the professionalism, and it shows really meaning what makes them proud.
Okay, great. So hopefully this works. You can see as everybody can see the screen, I hope. You can see what Staff Sergeant Gutenberg has put together, all the community names around the outside of the coin within the county, the OPP crest, the detachment building, the county logo. So this is what Staff Sergeant Gutenberg has come up with as a proposed challenge coin for Brant. I mean, we could all provide some input into what we like or don't like, but I don't know how much we want to get into fine tuning this at this time. But I guess the concept is what we're looking for today. Is there any questions for Staff Sergeant Gutenberg on the design itself? Okay, I'll just stop. So now you have the concept of that. Size-wise, it's bigger than a loonie, but it's a nicely weighted. Staff Sergeant Gutenberg showed me some examples. They're a nicely weighted coin, but they're not small like quarters or loonies, but they're not huge, big medallions either. They're something that you might carry with you, or you might have them on display for other coins that you would have been awarded. So Staff Sergeant Gutenberg's done some research. The company that he's done a lot of work with, and I just would want to note that Staff Sergeant Gutenberg is also a volunteer firefighter in his spare time and has done some of these as well through that avenue and through policing. So I kind of look to him as being our little bit of an expert or resource here that we have within the detachment on this whole concept. So the company that he's very familiar with does the design and the production all in one versus paying for the 2 separate pieces. It is in US dollars at this time, 200 coins, as you can see, they've quoted as 1,500, 300 coins at 1,700. We would have to pay for that out of our budget funds if we choose to pursue this. I guess the idea is if we're considering giving it out to our Brant members, probably 200 would be the starting point, just if we're going to start with getting it out to everybody that currently is in Brant, and then would hold an inventory for that moving forward for awarding them as you move forward through new recruits, or however that is we decide to award them. So I guess at this time I would like to propose that we support this design and production of a Brant OPP Challenge coin for the purposes of morale, pride, and professionalism here in Brant. And the funds come from the 2022 PSB budget. With the conference being virtual again, and we probably all have less expenses that way. We have an awards budget, and that we can then develop some guidelines, some guidelines as to how those coins are then going to be awarded, so they're not just loose that way. That would be the proposal at this time that I'd like to put forward. Any discussion, Councillor Pierce?
Thanks, Madam Chair. Through you, a couple things. First of all, I think this is fantastic. It looks awesome. Couple things I'd like to say here. First of all, you talk about it in the report there to give it to the new recruits and stuff like that. My own personal opinion is, and again, this will be decided by the board or whatever, but every member of our detachment should get one, as far as I'm concerned, because they're all integral pieces to this, and it's something that they can each have. So I would push for every member to get one, and then as new recruits come
That's
on,
right.
then I would appreciate it, being that way. The second part of it is, if we're going to do the 200, that's going to give us some extra inventory and stuff like that. Honestly, for the extra couple $100 to get 100 more of them, I would suggest we do the 300. Better price per value. And we spoke earlier about taking things back to council. What I would like to do, if the board is okay with it, is I would like to bring this idea back to council to see if we can get some financial assistance from council, whether we split it or something like that. But I think that council would support something like this, and I would like, if it's okay with the board, I would like to take it back to council with the idea of going with the 300 coins at 1,700 US. So what's that, about 2,200 or something like that, to see if council will be willing to at least split the cost with the police services board. That's kind of where I'm at. But I think this is a fantastic idea, and it just shows a little bit of support to, as far as I'm concerned, folks that put themselves on the line every day for us. I think this is the least we can do.
Member Verhey?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. I support everything that Councillor Pierce has said, and would just add that I think it's a fantastic idea to proceed with. We've bantered casually about different types of things like this over the past couple of years since me joining the board, in pictures or plaques or pieces of paper, whatever it is. I think this actually has some substance and some meaning, and I think it's an opportunity for us as a board to come up with a really well-defined program that can have some really good lasting impact. I see the mayor's deep in thought. I'm kind of curious what he's thinking.
Mayor Bailey?
Well, through you, Madam Chair, I am deep in thought because I've had a very unsettling couple of weeks with all the things that are going on in the country. I've never been so nervous. I've never been so unsettled. And personally, in my own self, I always thought that when I needed a policeman, I could call a policeman, and I was going to be safe. And the rules that we have in the country of Canada were rules that were going to be enforced. And I think it's very unsettling the way the country is right now. So I've never been more grateful to the OPP and to the police services in general as I am right now. Hoping that the next couple of days are even going to be better, but it's very, very unnerving to see what can happen anywhere in the world and on your own back steps. And it's been very, very unsettling for me. I've done a lot of thinking about a lot of things in the last few months. So there's never been a better time to present this coin or this token. I can't believe how uneasy I feel right now. Living in Canada, which I never thought I'd ever feel uneasy living in Canada, and how wonderfully I slept before all of these days. I always felt very safe in everything I did and everything I believed in, and I don't feel that way right now. So it's coming back gradually, but I think it's a perfect time to introduce something like this that just really says thank you, and we're going to get back to where we were. And things are going to be different again. So that's my own feeling. That's what's going on in my head right now, is I'm just hoping to come back to something that is settling and safe. I want to feel safe again, and I don't feel safe today. So I think it's a great time to introduce the coin.
Thank you, Mayor Bailey. I think before I go to Member Brown there, I think this is part of the culture that we're trying to nurture within Brant, Detachment, in terms of the camaraderie and the support and the teamwork. And I think we started to see that, Member Brown and I, with our interactions at the barbecues this past summer and hearing back from members. And I'm really encouraged that our members were so engaged with Staff Sergeant Gutenberg in terms of the various design elements and how that coin's come together. So support all the comments that have been made so far, which is why I felt so strongly about bringing in this idea to the board. I felt that you would see the same as me, that it is a good time to do this, and it has such significance to us and our members that it would make sense. Member Brown, did you want to add to that?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Couple of comments. Little things can make a huge difference, and not that this is a little thing. I think it's a big statement, but I'm fully supportive of it. I think that the design is fantastic. I agree with Councillor Pierce that we should, if we're doing it, we should be doing the larger amount of 300. It makes financial sense. My question to Staff Gutenberg is, these things, to remain special, they're going to be rare. Who would be recipients of these? Obviously, everybody in the detachment is, but I'm talking about VIPs or guests, or does it get given out regularly, or are they fairly restricted?
Through you, Madam Chair, that would be something that the Police Services Board or the committee would set parameters with and rules. I can tell you that the value of the coin, and I'm not talking financial or monetary value, but the true meaning of the coin means more when they're restricted, when the presentation is limited to certain parameters, and I can't go on the street and try to buy one for $10 or $15. They mean by far more, and they're more priceless that way. So the rules would have to be governed by the parameters or the organization.
Through you, Madam Chair, just to follow up on that, that's why I'm asking. I'd like to know how it is usually handled in other units that you've been associated with. We're looking for your input into this.
Through you, Madam Chair, members that are on duty or currently serving, any new members arriving would be some recommendations. Members from outside of Brant County that have gone above and beyond to help out Brant County. And examples I could use on that is members that were involved in some sort of a life-saving heroic event. The same thing could be used by the Police Services Board when they provide awards to citizens or other members of the community. That's another perfect example there. As for VIPs, by all means, if it wasn't for the VIPs and fellow presenters that are providing education and development for the Police Services Board and Brant County members, we wouldn't be to where we are today. So I would definitely think that those parties should be included as well. I hope I answered yourself, Councillor.
Thank you.
So I think what we would do, if everybody's in agreement, is we would draft up a one-pager with some of those guidelines for your review and approval at a future meeting. I'll volunteer to work with Staff Sergeant Gutenberg as a starting point so that we have that. And then, our secretary, Nancy, can hold on to that. And then, as it comes up in future discussions, we'll have some policies and guidelines as to how those are awarded for future board members as well as we come and go. And then we've got that as kind of a rudder. And then we can bring that back to Police Service Board for your review and approval and input. And then that would be the guidelines that we would be using moving forward. Mayor Bailey?
Through you, Madam Chair, is the design that we just saw, is that 100% complete, or is it still liquid? Is it still fluid?
Through you, Madam Chair, my final design, there was a vote of 2 concepts. That was the final design that the majority of Brant County members voted on. Of course, changes could be made, and that's totally available to you. But in all fairness, out of all the ones I've designed, I don't know what much more we can do to it.
Well, I just a suggestion from me, just because we are such a young county, we could, at the bottom part of where we did the detachment building, there's a little bit of a piece of concrete that sort of noses down to the bottom of the coin. I just thought that we could put established 1999, just because we are such a young county. Just a date to mark the time. That's the only thing I saw missing.
And through you, Madam Chair, that's definitely something we can take into consideration. That would be something very minor. I could ask for another rendering to be performed with that, and have that available for probably in a short period of time.
So how does everybody want to proceed here? We have Councillor Pierce's suggestion of taking it to council as well to support funding. Are you comfortable passing a motion today that based on, you know, are you going to approve it today and then hope to get some funding? And then if we don't get the funding, we're still going to go ahead and do it anyways.
Yep.
So we approve the full amount today, and then Councillor Pierce can take it to council with his proposal to offset. How would you like to proceed? I think Member Verhey and Member Brown, you both had your hands up. Member Verhey?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yeah, just a quick thought on that. I love the idea of getting some financial support, sharing that, and you know, means less out of our budget. So I'm a big fan of that. But that does introduce the fact that there's another party involved that may want some input, right? So I'm just torn on the best approach there. Part of me is saying, let's just keep it totally to the Police Services Board, and it's a program that's fully designed and executed by Police Services Board. But if maybe there's a way to do that, keeping everything simple and streamlined, I guess, with county financial support, then maybe that works too. So I'm not saying I like or dislike either one. I'm just saying you could introduce a whole nother program and a level of red tape and bureaucracy in terms of just getting this going. But that's just what I'm thinking at the moment.
Member Brown, did you want to, and then Mayor Bailey after that? Oh, you're muted.
There we go. I think this is a great opportunity. I love what they put together. I think that there's an opportunity for us to do it on our own, but I think the better opportunity is for, as Councillor Pierce suggested, that we all do this collectively. I think the gesture from having council involved as well as the Police Services Board involved supporting this, I think that speaks volumes and showing that we're all working together. So I would really like to see Councillor Pierce and the Mayor take this to council from my own standpoint, with the caveat that we can push this through at the earliest meeting so that we don't end up with what Councillor or Member Verhey just said, that we don't add bureaucracy to it. I don't think we want to do that. It needs to be quick, swift, and let's get it done.
So Mayor Bailey, you're in the queue, and then Councillor Pierce.
Yeah, and that's through you, Madam Chair. That's exactly what we would bring forward as it's a complete done deal. This is what the Police Services Board are doing, and because of the restraints of everyone's budget, and Councillor Pierce and I will be able to just present this as complete. We don't want any input other than I just said the date, but if it's not there, I'm not going to lose any sleep. But no more additions, no more thought processes. It's finished. It's the way the Police Services Board's people wanted it done, and it's not up for discussion. It's just up for financing. It's up for support, and it's up for, and we will have money in the county budget somewhere for something like this, because again, this is a very special period of time that we're going through right now, and it's got everything to do with policing right now. Everyone has got their fingers crossed, and all our hopes and dreams focused on police right now. It's just something that it's a very easy thing to get through council right now. I can't imagine that there would be any trouble, and we're not going to look for any kind of any kind of suggestions. We just want support financially.
Councillor Pierce.
Yeah, thanks, Madam Chair. And just to echo what the mayor said there, this will not be a problem in council, and that's exactly how I was going to bring it to council. Now, to Staff Sergeant Gutenberg, is it possible that, like, what I'm thinking here is we have a council meeting tonight. So what I'm going to do tonight is I'm going to put a notice of motion on tonight so I can bring it to council, which is on the 22nd. So I can have it on the agenda for the 22nd. I'll just give the notice of motion tonight, so that's fine. And absolutely, you know, when the discussion is had, as Staff Sergeant Gutenberg said, this is not something that we as a police services board made up. This is something that our own police force had input into, and I think that's huge. And that's my way of taking it to council, saying, look, this is what we are doing as a police services board. This has come from our frontline people, our ops people, everybody in the OPP. They put into it. This is their design. And with the caveat that we may, as the mayor says, we may look at putting the date of the county on the bottom. But other than that, there's no discussion here. It's just a matter of, this is what it is. We're looking for financial input, period. I don't think it'll be an issue at all.
Great. That's good news.
Yeah.
So then, so we'll leave that then to Councillor Pierce and Mayor Bailey to advocate for that, whatever process or whatever you need from myself or Staff Sergeant Gutenberg. We're happy to help support that, Councillor Pierce. But for today, are we prepared to put a motion in place on the decision today so that we've got it here for PSB? Councillor Pierce?
Yeah, I'll gladly move a motion that we go forward with the design pending a possible date addition to the bottom, but we do the number of 300 units, I'll call them, and we go forward from there, so we can get the ball rolling on it and get these as soon as we can.
And guidelines to be approved at a future PSB meeting.
Absolutely. Yep. And then just a caveat to that, Staff Sergeant Gutenberg, if you happen to get another rendering or something like that, if you could even just put it to the chair or something, so we can just get it emailed out so we can see it, because that would be perfect if I had something to. I'll show council what we have now, but if we had something on the final one, by the 22nd, that would be fabulous. Thank you.
It's through you, Madam Chair. I'll work on that, and also I'll finalize a quote with shipping, etc., for the 300 units.
Perfect.
So that's a motion that's been put forward by Councillor Pierce. Nancy, do you have, I know we need a seconder, but Nancy, just want to make sure you've got that recorded with what Councillor Pierce intends.
Yes, I do. Thank you.
Okay, great. Seconder then for that motion. Member Brown, any other discussion? Okay, all those in favor of the motion to support? Great, thank you very much. That's carried. Thank you for your support, everybody. And thanks to Staff Sergeant Gutenberg for his knowledge and his sharing of this tradition with us, so that we can then share it with our brand OPP members. Thank you. Mayor Bailey, did you have something you want to add? Sorry.
Madam Chair, I was just going to say the hologram of Councillor Pierce and myself isn't necessary on the coin. Well,
for yourself, Mr. Mayor. Obviously, I would do the shiny side. I mean, let's be real.
Well, on that happy note, 10.3, Councillor Pierce, you had an item you wanted to bring to our attention.
I do, Madam Chair. This is kind of an interesting one here. So a little back history on it, and this is from the old Paris Police Station when it was the building is no longer there, when it backed up to our the parking lot downtown. When they were taking that building down and they were selling some artifacts from that building, my parents actually bought something from them. If I could just share my screen for 1 second. Where am I at here? I want to share screen 3. I just want to see, can everybody see my screen? This isn't the best picture of it, but can everybody see my screen with the little stained glass window there? You can?
Yes,
okay.
We can. Yeah.
So that, again, this is not a great picture of it, but it's the only one I could find. That stained glass window actually came out of the Paris Police Station before they tore it down. My folks bought it, and it was hanging in their dining room. That's my dining room on Silver Street there. But Mom has since moved, and she doesn't really have a spot for it. And what she's wondering, and I'm not sure how we would go about it or whatever like that, would this be something that the OPP would be interested in potentially, because it has the past history of the Paris Police and stuff like that? Would they be interested in something like this hanging in the detachment? I don't know. I was just asked to bring it forward by my mom, she doesn't have a place to put it. I'd love to have it in my place, but I don't really have a place to put it that would do it justice. It's, again, the picture doesn't do it justice. It's absolutely beautiful. And I'm just wondering, with the history of it coming out of the Paris police building when it was downtown Paris, I'm just wondering if that might be something that that the OPP would potentially think about putting up in the detachment. I will leave it at that. I don't need an answer right this second, but I was asked to bring that forward just to see if there'd be any interest in that. So that's where I'm at.
Councillor Pierce, is there anything on the stained glass that's just like signifies anything policing, or is it just
It does not. It just they had it hanging in there, and that's actually the original frame and everything that it was in. So it as I say, it's hung in the dining room where I grew up for long as I can remember.
well,
So,
maybe Inspector Ferguson, you're one of the few people on the call here that actually worked out of the old Paris Detachment building. Is that something that you would recall seeing, or something that would be of significance? You can obviously think about that and let Councillor Pierce know where you would even put it.
Thank you, through you, Madam Chair. It is lovely, and certainly I will make efforts to talk to Councillor Pierce about that after the meeting.
yeah, and as I say, this isn't from the old from the last building they were in. This is the building before that. That was
Okay.
old. Yeah, this isn't from the old post office building. This is from the old house that used to be the original Paris police house building.
Oh, I got you. So then definitely Inspector Ferguson was not in that building.
No, I was going to say, I don't think she was around then.
Nope.
No.
My apologies. I thought you were speaking with the one that was just torn down, not the
Nope.
one before that. So
This was the one
apologies.
before that. So like I say, it just food for thought. My mom just asked me if it'd be something that you'd be interested in. So I said, I've got a meeting. I will bring it up and go from there.
Okay, we'll leave it with you two to figure out how that would work or not.
And I will get a better picture of it. That doesn't do it justice because it's absolutely gorgeous.
It might fit well in a number of different places within the county, probably in terms of the historical significance of the piece. Okay, so if there's nothing else there, we do have an in-camera item today to talk about matters involving public security, and Inspector Varga is here with us as well. So we will need a motion to go in camera for that. Thank you, Mayor Bailey, and seconded by Member Brown. Thank you. So all in favor to go in camera? Carried. And we'll just give Nancy a moment here to get us switched over. I believe we are now back in open session. Staff Sergeant Ormsby, I know we haven't really had a chance to talk to you much, but was there anything that you wanted to add before we close up our meeting?
No, nothing from me. Thank you, Ben,
Okay.
for looking after things.
There was no decisions made in camera. It was an information session, so I don't believe we require a motion. Is that correct, Nancy?
That is correct.
Okay. So then at this time, I believe unless there's anything else that needs to be discussed, it's 10:58, so we're getting close to our time anyways. Our next meeting is in March, I believe March 15th as well. If nothing else, then I'll adjourn the meeting, call for adjournment, 10:59. And everybody have a great day and stay safe. And thanks to everybody, staff Gutenberg, staff Ormsby, everybody for all that you guys do.